This show is clean.
Tutti frutti.
Pretty much.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 761. Hello, it's Mike Matthews broadcasting from the last place on earth, located somewhere in Podcaster Valley, California. Today we hear from Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, John Deere the engineer, plus it's part 2 of my Into an interview with TAYLOR Cole Bartholomew of the Austin, Texas band COURRIER. And it looks like there is censorship in England. Mike's Daily Podcast. Did you know that the name of the guy that founded Stanford University was named Leland? Mike's Daily Podcast. That and other interesting things coming up on this show. But on the last show, Madame Rutabaga did something you probably didn't know. She kept smashing glasses. And meanwhile, Valentino, he and Bison Bentley, they crushed a mosquito, my libido. Actually, they told me how much they loved the show Rockford Files. Mike's Daily Podcast. Which lately I have rediscovered on Netflix, and it brings me back to my past. Mike's. And I go, Daily. I remember growing up podcast near the Santa Monica Pier. Yeah! And the San Fernando Valley and hanging out in all those places where they filmed that show. And my dad was kind of like a Rockford File. Kind of like a guy who liked to fish and, you know, be to himself because he had divorced my mom. Oh, look, who just walked in. Oh my God, it's Chely Shoehart right there. Oh my God, what's that old television show that you're like talking about right now? Rockford Files, James Garner. He was the guy who was later in The Notebook. He was the old guy. Oh my God, the one that's reading her that story. It's like so sad. It is. Look who else just walked in. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman.
And this is John Deere the engineer, Mike. We talked to some people today, and when we told them that we knew you and that you were a podcaster, they were so excited. They were jumping up and down.
Really? That never happens. If I tell someone I'm a podcaster, I might as well have said, hey, I like to breathe, and sometimes I think of food. People don't care. It's like, what? Who cares? Everybody's a podcaster. Everybody's a blogger. It doesn't matter anymore. It's not like the old days. Like when you broadcasted on the radio. Ooh. Now that doesn't even mean anything because no one listens to the radio anymore. Now what gets people excited is they ask you what you do and you tell them, I make apps. I have created an app that allows you to stay parking at the same parking meter for hours and hours at a time. That's what I do. Then people are impressed. Ooh. It just changes. It's just a sign of the times. But yeah, my last girlfriend, man, she could care less that she never listened to a single podcast I did. You know, when you are involved with someone, they should at least listen or read or see what you create and be supportive or give you at least criticism or something, engage you on it. And she was all wrapped up in her own world. But I digress. Like Nancy, she sounds like she was a real That's quite possibly true. Another thing that impresses people is if you tell them that you're a politician. Or maybe that makes them hate you even more. But Prime Minister David Cameron, not to be confused with James Cameron, who made many a movie that I will never watch again. I'm not a James Cameron fan. I know 90% of the world is, but me, it's like I watch his movies and it's just like, oh, when will this end? Too much explosions. Anyway, David Cameron, on the other hand, is going to apologize to Queen Elizabeth II for disclosing details of a private conversation with her about the Scottish referendum, according to the Huffington Post. Britain's leader was overheard telling former New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg that the monarch appeared relieved that the Scots voted to stay in the United Kingdom. Microphones picked up an unguarded Cameron describing how the Queen, quote, purred down the line after hearing the results. So, remember, this is not an actual broadcast. Like, he did not say, ladies and gentlemen of the Commonwealth, Queen Elizabeth purred down the line when Scotland didn't secede. So, no, this was just completely by mistake. Those microphones should have been turned off, as we know in many a situation that is not always the case, and you get things like what John Kerry said. I forgot what he said recently, where he got picked up on mic, and then there was, Mitt Romney got picked up. Actually, that was not a supposedly turned off mic. I think that was somebody's smartphone. They were recording him, and that's when he said the thing that got him into all that trouble. But microphones picked up David Cameron saying this, and conversations with the monarch are considered private, and her views are rarely aired. It's as if she doesn't even exist, which to most Americans, she doesn't. David Cameron said Wednesday, today, that he was sorry. Or that would be the Canadian way of saying, I'm sorry. But, quote, it was a private conversation, but clearly a private conversation that I shouldn't have had and won't have again, he said. My office has already been in touch with the palace to make that clear, and I will do so as well. And that's how it is in England. The state, it's a dictator state, I guess, and you can't say anything about the person that's behind the scenes doing nothing. But that's how we don't really understand it here in America, because our forefathers rebelled against it and kicked them out. And it was horrible and bloody, and a great piece of our history that we read, a huge chunk of it. And we're always molded as little kids reading about that and hearing about the tea going into the bay and the Paul Revere ride and all those interesting stories. It's wow. That's the birth of our nation. It's pretty damn impressive. So what do you think about this whole David Cameron flub? And what the hell, Michael Bloomberg? Is he secretly behind the scenes running everything? He's still relevant now? Oh yeah, he's got a whole website, a newspaper, and everything. He doesn't run the biggest city in the country anymore. He runs all of us. But does he? Email me, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. Let me know your comments. We read your comments on the section, emails for me-mail. Also email me there if you'd like to be a guest on the show, or if you would like to sponsor the show, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. And are you a podcaster, and do you find that no one gives a email me, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. There's also the website, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. It's a wondrous, magical place. It has links to where to listen to the show in iTunes. Subscribe to the show in iTunes. And, iTunes is great because they will put you in your hands, and you won't even want it, and it'll be there, and you'll be, thank you. May I have another? No, may I not have another is what you'll say. But so there, if you do have the iTunes, we are free there, of course, and you can download us and also comment on the show and rate the show. That helps our ranking so more people will find out about Mike's Daily Podcast. Another great way to support the show is through Facebook. Like the Facebook page, and when I post a new show, share that with your friends. More people find out about us that way. And the link to where to find us on Facebook is there at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. We are also on YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spreaker, Mixcloud, Podomatic, Tumblr, Twitter, Yelp, sort of, as I mentioned on yesterday's show. All the links to all those places there at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. And there's the Amazon deal of the day. And if you click on that and buy something, and then if you bookmark that page, and whenever you come to Amazon to buy anything, you go through MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. That helps us out too. All there at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com, as well as the blog, the Daily Podcast Picture, and all my past interviews, including this particular one.
Into an interview.
Okay. I'm Spocking. I'm speaking. I have Star Trek on the mind. I'm Spock. Taylor. Spock. That's highly illogical,
You're
Captain.
actually speaking with Spock. Oh, wow. That was impressive.
That's the first time I've ever done that. Wow.
Yeah.
I guess the older I get, the more Leonard Nimoy I get. The leanered I get.
That's a hard sentence to say. I'm not going to even attempt to say that for you.
Or maybe I'm more Zachary Quinto the older I get. I don't know. But Leonard...
Is that Sulu or...
He was Spock in the last one. The J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, that's the actor's name. He's Siler in Heroes, and
yes,
he's a cool guy.
I have never watched Heroes. I need to watch that. I've always wanted to.
Don't watch it. not because it's not a good show, but they canceled it, and so it's like the most unsatisfying thing to watch because it just ends.
Taylor Cole Bartholomew, thank you for telling me that. Oh boy, I would have gotten into something I couldn't get out of.
Yeah. You've lost your mind.
Oh, I hate when they cancel a show without any explanation, and it's terrible. I'm a huge fan of Doctor Who, and that show I think is going to live on because the British love it so much. But
you know, my roommate is obsessed with that show, and I haven't yet to see an episode. I should watch it because it seems like the people who take the time to get into it are super into it. So
you know what's fun?
It must be good.
So it's been around since 1963. It's 50 years old. And you can go back and watch those old shows. And actually, they lost a lot of shows because they didn't really have they saved it onto like a really primitive form of videotape. And then the BBC was like, we don't have enough room to keep all this videotape, so let's destroy it. And then they came in with flamethrowers and just destroyed the whole building, and they set off bombs, and Leonard Nimoy showed up and zapped people. No, they did destroy a lot of tape. And
your phasers to stun.
And I've been watching Enterprise with Scott Bakula too, and that's bizarre. That's on Netflix now. But anyway, those old Doctor Who's are a hoot because they shot it like they were doing actual theater. They hardly ever stopped the tape, so you're kind of watching almost like live sci-fi theater, and it could be really bad at times. So and then the modern Doctor Who is all super effects. They pour a lot of money into it, and that's interesting.
My roommate, and actually the guy who sells merch on tour with us, and he guitar techs for us a lot. He's the guy I was telling you about that watches that show. He's actually a pretty well-known 3D animator on Tumblr, and he's like a 3D artist. And last Christmas he did he's actually like specifically a GIF artist, and his work is amazing. It's Zolloc, Zolloc, and you should go check it out. But he did what's the bad guy's name in Doctor Who, the robot?
There's the Cybermen, the Daleks, the
main bad guy that looks kind of like a cheesy sci-fi robot.
The like a what robot?
It's like the main bad guy in the show. I don't know.
Doctor Who.
Anyway, he's like, yeah.
Anyway,
I've never seen the show, but he has like a GIF that he animated of that robot character like zooming around a Christmas tree, and it like has like all this. I got all this attention on Tumblr. It was kind of funny to watch.
Oh, and it's what's his thing again on Tumblr? Dalek Theo.
Zolloc. Yeah, I couldn't tell you what the actual URL is, but if you look it on Google, it'll be the first thing that pops up.
Zolloc Theo.
So ZOLLOC.
Oh, OC Theo. Okay, I just wrote it down, so I'm going to check it out. It's going to be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for turning me on to that, Taylor Cole Bartholomew. Which, by the way, your name would be an awesome, like, sci-fi adventure first, the main character's name.
Thank you.
I'm inspired to write something now. So
it's funny. I growing up, I always hated my name, and I was like the only kid in my kindergarten class who couldn't get his last name spelled right. I always screwed it up, and I remember like them calling my parents and being really concerned, and I don't know. I eventually got it, of course, but I've learned to really love it. It's become I don't know. Yeah.
Bartholomew was one of the disciples.
He was, yeah.
And then there was also a Matthew too.
Yep, there's a Matthew and a Luke and a John, and that might be all I can name.
I have my last name is Matthews with an S, so I was always fascinated by that because I went to Baptist school, elementary school, kindergarten through elementary, and just had to
in California.
In California, of all places, yes, a Baptist school. It was, you've got Southern teachers in Van Nuys, California, there in the San Fernando Valley. It was very, very weird. It was like we were shooting a scene of
out of place in California.
Dukes of Hazzard or something. It was it's out of place. Now in Austin, I'm sure you have lots of. Well, does Austin have a lot of Baptist churches?
You know, Austin's really cool.